And gentlemen, welcome back to Ball Watching, a St. Louis City SC podcast. You are joined by your host, Jake Koenig here, and Justin Graham on my other side. Justin, how we feeling? We were in Philadelphia this past weekend doing the Rocky steps, trying to inspire this team. How was that? How's Philly?
It was good. Weather wasn't great. Went up there. My cousin played basketball for University of Penn. Big shout out to Andrew. Just had a senior night against Princeton the other night. So just had a nice little family weekend up in Philly and got to explore downtown and had Philly cheesesteak and did the Rocky steps, did all the good stuff in the 36-hour trip I was there.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Well, if you haven't already, anyone listening, make sure you tune in to the reel that Justin put out. He ran the Rocky steps, dug up a plastic empty water bottle and filmed himself doing this. And it is classic for any Rocky fans out there. It's just gold.
It was embarrassing to do it, but I was like, you know what? I'm already here. I might as well put it together. I had like three different. It was an empty beer bottle, Jake. It was gross. Someone just left it there. It was some homeless person or something, and I just found it and held my phone up against it and put it in different spots. So yeah, little Saturday morning treat.
Did someone see you doing it live?
Yeah, absolutely. There was like 50 people on these steps. It looked like no one was there because I was trying to like get it to where there weren't a lot of people in it. Like I was waiting for people to not be running them, but no, there's probably close to 100 people on those steps.
So let me give a little appreciation, Justin, because this is a good plug for you here. Look at the dedication, the drive Justin brings, producing content for you all. We both try to do as much as we can, obviously, in our whatever time is left in the weekend. But if you appreciate it and you're liking what you're seeing, obviously would always love feedback. We've gotten some good feedback. And if you can, on the podcasts, on Apple, on Spotify, don't be the person that hears us ask for ratings and reviews. Be like, oh, someone else will do that. And if you have, do it again. We'd love feedback. And same thing with YouTube. There's like half of you all that listen to our videos and watch our videos that don't subscribe. Subscribe to the show. Those little things go a long distance for us. So we'd really appreciate it if you all are liking it and liking what you're hearing and want to be a part of these. By the way, hop in the live streams too. Would love getting questions from you all and having debates on here live. So trying to build a fun and tightly knit community here. So you guys are a big part of that, and you can help us continue to drive forward. So want to make a quick plug for us, Justin, but thank you for your dedication.
Absolutely, Jake. I'm out here to do it for the fans and for us.
All right. Shall we get into it?
Yes.
Let's do it. So, City on the road in Austin last night. So, time recording right now is Sunday, March 10th, and the boys were down in Austin to do a little bit of a duel with the team that we knew quite well from last season. Like we mentioned in the preview, tons of goals in this picture, and this one didn't let us down either. I'd say on the naked eye, or just someone that just wanted to tune in and watch this game, it was a fun game, really, really fun game to watch. And unfortunately, I couldn't watch it live, but I watched the whole thing back this morning. 2-2 draw. And I think we'll get into our takes as we get deeper into this, but it's one of those where I feel like everyone has that super cheesy, is it a point earned or 2 points lost? And I'm kind of caught somewhere in the middle there because this is a team we definitely should beat, and we should have beaten them. If you look at the stats, if you watch the game, Austin didn't have much going for them, to be totally honest, and we did. We couldn't finish, which we'll get into, but to get that draw in that nature, come back from a losing position away from home, I think there was some resiliency, and I'm proud of how the team performed.
Yeah, I would say I wasn't able to watch it completely live. I was trying to stream it at dinner after the game as well, and then rewatched it in total this morning. It's one of those where, it felt like we were the better team the entire time. And so am I a little upset that we didn't get 3 points there? Yes, but having to come back down a goal, tie it, down a goal, tie it, it just shows how much work this team has been putting in. And I think it's a lot we've talked about the different lineups and all of that, but this time, Jake, third time ever, we didn't have a different lineup. We went with the same starting 11 that we went with against New York City FC.
Absolutely. We did. We went with an unchanged 11, which, by the way, we put that out as our starting 11 graphic. You and I had some debate on it during the preview. I said roll with the hot hands, and that's exactly what Carnell did, which kind of shocked me. Usually we do our starting 11, I feel like, as if we were the coach, but not as if us putting in Carnell's shoes. Sometimes we do that because we know how he likes to tinker with things. But yeah, it was an unchanged 11 rolling back out with Dinneran and AZ, kind of a 4-4-2, or when you're in offense, when you're attacking, I feel like it was more of a 4-2-3-1. But yeah, we got, a draw, got a 2-2 result away from home. I think there will be change in the next one, and we'll get into some of those places. I think there will be change, but let's hop into it, Justin. The first half and the second half very, very different for me to analyze, and especially the first like half of the first half, it was dicey, man. I was watching this game and I'm like, ooh, we definitely escaped some of the. I wouldn't say it was like we were getting pelted or anything, but the energy and the start that Austin came out with was what I wanted us to come out with, and we were on the receiving end.
Yeah, unfortunately, the way that Jake and I set this up, we have a Google Doc, and we put the minute when we're doing our highlights and our lowlights. This year, we have either the minute and then an H or an L next to it for highlight or lowlight, so we know what we're kind of getting in and running down it. It was L, goal, L. So we did not start anywhere near what I wanted to, and it was perfect the way you worded this. The first 5 minutes just felt dicey. I think we had a foul a minute and 20 seconds in that was on Nilsson. It was kind of weak, but just unnecessary. It was a long ball from Stuver, and he gets all over the guy's back, fouls him right at the center circle or so. And then also another one from Celio, just running side by side and gives the guy a shoulder. That one was only 15 yards outside of the 18. Those are the ones that we've been talking about now, Jake, for all of these games so far this season that we have to clean up, because those are not easy to defend. When we're looking at it, you're letting, probably 16 guys, if you take 8 of us and 8 of them, line up on the 18-yard box and running in towards Roman Berkey as the ball is coming in over the top. We cannot allow that in our half because it's just annoying.
1,000%. And I've already referenced the preview 3 times, and I'm going to do it again. We talked about this is a good set piece team. Why are you making these fouls so early and in such needless areas? We did make some good fouls, which we'll get to in the show here, but it's needless in the way you're starting. You're away from home. The home crowd's behind them. They get up. Those Austin fans definitely get up for it. It's cool. I like the atmosphere and like the green haze they pump in for the goals. I do like that. I wonder if we would ever consider doing something like that with the city red, but you can't. It's just you can't be making those mistakes, and it paid. We paid for it. In the 14th minute, they get their goal on a corner kick. An in-swinger comes in, and Durkin is, I believe, marking Matt Hedges. I think he got a couple caps in the men's national team a few years back, and he rose up for the header, and he was just the first to it. Shout out, I mean, kudos to him. Skims his head, goes in. I don't think Berkey really had much of a chance. Durkin goes down. I mean, he lost his marker. It was kind of a little bit of a crapshoot of set-piece defending.
Yeah, I watched that one a couple times because when I first saw it, I actually saw that live. I was streaming that while I was at dinner. I was like, wait, was that Sam's man? Because Sam gets up right next to him as well. Sam was the zonal guy right at the front post, right around where the 6 starts when you're working your way out towards the corner. Durkin's running with Hedges. Durkin almost tries to lean into him, and while he's doing that, he leans a little too hard, and Hedges just gets a little push on his back, not a foul. And Durkin goes down, and then Sam just can't get up and win it. And it was a great glancing header. Nothing that Berkey could do there. One thing I do want to say about Berkey real quick, Jake, in the 8th minute, I think it was, Finley gets slipped in behind. So he has the ball on pretty much the baseline. If you're Berkey and you're facing the field, it's to the right. He comes out like almost all the way outside of the 6, pretty wide. And he's kind of in no man's land. Like as a keeper, Jake, what were your thoughts on that? Because I didn't really think he needed to be there. It's not a dangerous spot. Even if Finley tries to rip one from there, it's worse of an angle than what Adinrian had last week. And Berkey would easily clean that up. So when he's out there, then he's backtracking. Finley chips it in over Berkey. We're lucky Zardes doesn't get his head on it. Marcanic heads it out. And then who was it? O'Brien. He's the one that has the hell of a side volley, and it just barely goes wide. But that all came about because Berkey just went so wide to try to go get Finley when I just don't think it was necessary.
Did they end up calling offside on that? Because I think it was a set piece after.
Yes, so I watched that 5 times too because they never said on what it was, but Berkey's next kick was like past the PK spot, so it looked like it was offsides. But when I saw that when he slipped in Finley didn't look off, and when he crossed it into Zardes, Finley was basically on the touchline, so Zardes wasn't offside. So I don't know, but either way, even if he was off, he could have easily been on it. I don't really understand what Rome was trying to do there.
2 things. One, on that note, the broadcast was not great last night. I obviously watched it today, very clear-eyed and bushy-tailed, and it was not good. I feel like I was not getting the clarity I needed from the broadcast team, and that was frustrating. And that's one of those things I was thinking about. And 2, yes, back to Berkey. Yeah, you want to see if you're an aggressive goalkeeper like he is, you remain consistent, and when you go, you go. You don't get caught in no man's land, because you saw even Stuver get caught out in no man's land in this game as well. I'm glad that it ended up being called offsides because Berkey was exposed. It's like he got caught kind of in 2 minds. And you want to see him go for that. But honestly, yeah, let that guy play that out wide. Let him shoot if he wants to shoot, because that angle was trash. Berkey's going to clean that up, no problem. I did find it weird that he came out to challenge that. But, I'd rather someone err, if anything, on more of the aggressive side than the receiving side.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I will say, I just wanted to mention that because I really saw that and I was very confused. It seemed very uncharacteristic of Rome there. And Kevin hopped in here. Thank you. They did call it offsides, but it just wasn't clear. And that's what I figured it was, since it wasn't on the 6, if it was a true goal kick. So then we get into a little bit of some highlights, Jake. I think you have it great here from the 20th minute. Leuven free kick from probably 50 out or so. Sends one into the box, and it looks like someone gets tripped up, and it looks like 4 Austin guys going for the header, but the ball is so good that they have to flick it out for a corner, which was awesome. But then that corner gets swung in, and Adinerian heads it from pretty much the top of 18. Pretty much no challenge. If you're putting XG on that, it has to be like 0.0001. But somehow the header just it's like a rainbow, and it lands on top of the crossbar and comes back into play. I don't know what Stuver was doing there. Usually keepers try to make sure that it's going out, but that one didn't even hit the backside of the crossbar and go out for a goal kick. It hit it pretty square and bounced back into play.
Yeah, you're never, I feel like, as a goalie in that situation too, you're just there to see that ball out of play. See it, meaning make sure it goes there. So, you're he had time. He literally had time to analyze where he was in the box as well with the goal frame. He could have just jumped up and just palmed that one, on its way over, but that was a little nervy moment there. I also saw some danger from us in the 22nd minute. Mark Anik played a beautiful one-time volley pass to Leuven after they cleared the ball, and Leuven then played through a nice through ball into Indy, who was running behind kind of from outside to inside centrally from his wing play, and he got denied 1v1 with Stuver. Stuver made a great save, kind of a Berkey save, I would say, playing super big, getting down low, making it very hard for Indy to get over him, which he kind of went for the dink right over top.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a great chance by us. And I'd love to see the crossing run there by Indy. Indy came all the way from the right side, or kind of jogged across the middle, and then made a dart across. And that's when Leuven saw that, made that connection, slipped him in as Sam's drifting back across the middle. And that just gets confusing when you're center backs and having these guys cross. So I love to see that chemistry out of them. I do have one more low light before we get into a couple more highlights for halftime. And then obviously the big debate with, was there another goal that was not called? But the low light that I have here, and JT already called it out as well, he said Celio's yellow card was insanely unfair. Unfortunately, I think it was fair. So what Celio did was he took a heavy touch, and then he tries to catch up to it, gets to a sliding John Gallagher, and then Celio, he has his studs up and almost tries to pull the ball back is what I'm assuming he was trying to do. Took too big of a touch, tried to run up there, try to yank it back with his cleats on top of the ball, but Gallagher beat him to it, and he just steps right on Gallagher. Unfortunately, I think there was a little bit of an acting job there from Gallagher, but that was Celio's third foul already the half. So I think it was a little bit of that was probably too harsh of a play, but also a little consistency of too many fouls. So that's one of those things that I really don't want to see out of Celio, because obviously you see in this game that we need him late on in the game, and you can't really take the chance of having a guy that's playing with a yellow card for 60 minutes plus.
100%. 100%. He did play nice and pretty clean after that, but you have to when you're playing on yellow. I don't think there was anything malicious in that, but it did look bad on that replay.
No, and the one thing I just want to say on that is it's nothing Celio. I agree. Wasn't malicious, but then I don't want him to have to be too cautious going in the rest of the game, because he is such a spark plug that I want him going 120% into tackles and trying to get by guys, and he has to be a little bit more cautious and lay up a little bit on some of those tackles, knowing that he's already on a yellow. So that's 60 minutes of that having to occur.
Agree. 2 more highlights, Justin, before I close up the first half. I had one here as Durkin and Indy kind of teamed up for a little bit of a press, and they combined after they won the ball, and Indy played a beautiful curved through ball with the outside of his boot into Celio's path, who was running off the shoulder of one of their center backs. Celio was in behind. Stuver's in no man's land. You could literally see him hesitate as he comes out, and he gets beat. But the defender catches up to Celio. Celio still has the composure to stay on the ball, squared up for Leuven, who has an open net with no goalie, but there are defenders in the area, one of them getting to the goal line. So it wasn't like an open net, but he soared it way over, and it was brutal to see. The XG on that, just one opportunity, was 0.24. So it was a high quality chance. And if you're a guy like Leuven, that may not need to go in the goal, but that has to hit the frame. Make them make a goal line clearance.
He'll say that. It was on his foot. It was a great touchback by Celio. I think Celio was just a half a cut away from easily just slotting that home himself after he beat Stuver there. But yeah, I think Lubin knows that one needs to at least be on frame. There's only one defender that could have cleared it off the line, but if you put that up around his chest or his head area, it's going in the back of the net.
Postgate, goal line technology, time, man. 39th minute. Leuven has a free kick, pretty a good distance out, fizzes it in like he has been the entire night. Absolutely rang the far post enough so that it's going to go and hit the other post or go in. I think it was probably going to hit the other post from the angle that I saw. Stuver reaches back to obviously disrupt that on its way to the second post, and in doing so, kind of nudged it towards the goal, like the actual open goal. And then it wasn't enough though to just punch it in, and he's able to reach and claw back and punch this one out on the goal line. At least my initial perspective. Upon replays, it looks like that ball crossed the line. MLS does not have goal line technology. If that's the EPL, the Bundesliga, if you're looking at big international tournaments, there is literally a watch on the referee's arm with technology, and that goal line is like a laser. And if that ball crosses the entire ball, remember, the entire ball has to cross that line. The referee gets a signal to their watch saying the ball crossed the line, call a goal here. It happens frequently, I would say. I mean, not frequently, but there's definitely a couple times a season you see that get used. We don't have it, and I think we suffered for it because the assistant referee, nowhere to be seen on that goal line to tell us whether or not this ball crossed. And if you don't call it, you can't go back and reverse that. Like, what's VAR going to do? They don't have a good camera angle.
No, unfortunately, I think the assistant referee, if you look at him, he was almost up to the 6. Like, he was not in an angle to see it there. And then if anything, if you see it come back on that other side, the post would have been blocking him from that. And unfortunately, Tim Parker had a great angle on it because he was making the run on near post, and he did celebrate. He had his arms up in the air like it was a goal, and then he kept his arms up in the air like, what the hell? Why aren't we calling this? So that's one of those things that I think it's a money issue. Is that correct? Like, why doesn't the MLS have it? And it's one of those, hopefully, I don't know how they are going to end up, what the cost is or how it gets to that. But if you go back and look, who I sent it to you earlier, Jake, one of the other podcasts, there was an issue of this for Austin last year as well. I want to give these guys a shout out.
River City
Rainbow guys. They showed it, and they're like, this happened last season in Austin as well. So if you see that, there was a goal for Austin last year that was not called a goal, and you could see the entire ball is behind the post, at least from that camera angle. And it's just one of those things that how are we not fixing this? And all the technology that we have in the world today, just add a little bit more, spend a little bit more money with how much money they're raking in from Messi and Apple, and let's make this clean up.
Yeah, Daniel has a great comment in here. We should start a GoFundMe for the MLS to get some Ring doorbells to put inside the post. Knock, knock. We're here. And by the way, maybe we can raise some more money to get some freaking referees in here that actually know how to do their job. But that aside, let's go to the second half, Justin. And we'll get to more of the summary stuff later here. But we get our response early on in the second half. So we're down 1-0 going to halftime. I'm sure Carnell had some things to say with the boys. They come out and they respond. We get a PK drawn by Aziel Jackson early on, like the corner of the 18. He draws some contact. It was clear as day. Some great footwork by him for a sloppy challenge from Austin. I forget who made the challenge. And Leuven just buries it. No doubt about it. I don't even know why the guy rose his hands as if he was maybe innocent in this. It was just like VAR is like, nope, don't even take a look at this one.
No, it was absolutely a foul. Great finish by Leuven. I texted you right before the game. I was looking at some other bets to do. Leuven shot on goal -135. That's free money when he's taking a PK. So I was so happy to see that come through. So that was awesome. But unfortunately, we'd only be happy for about a minute, not even a full minute, because then Austin scored in the 50th. Long throw, couldn't clear it, worked around to the far post, one-touch volley, side netting. I mean, there's not a whole lot that we really could have done there. These long throws, I talked about it, Jake. I didn't even realize guys were still doing this. Like, I feel like when we were growing up, it was really cool to do like the long throw, like Brian Hale had it, or like different girls were doing like flip throws and stuff. But I didn't realize that we were still doing this in like professional soccer.
And remember, long throws are also set pieces. This was definitely a play they drew up, I could tell, because they threw it, they knocked it around like the curvature of the 18, all one touches and volleys, like I said, and then they just go back right across goal to the near post where Conte, I think it was, is there for the header in. I mean, it looked easy, which was so frustrating. And just a minute after we scored, what was all that work for? So I was really frustrated seeing that happen. Next thing we have on here, Justin, was, we're down 2-1. Dinaran has been nowhere in this game. and I'm not writing him off. I'm not jumping on the dinner and is not the guy, bandwagon yet, but something had to change. He had 10 touches in his 60 minutes that he played. And then Klaus comes on. Klaus had 9 touches, by the way, in the 30 minutes that he played. But Klaus comes on. Good to see the guy. He was active. I will say none more active than Edu Leuven still. 64th minute, Leuven had a great press, forced to give away in Austin's third. Celio slotted in Markinek, who had a dangerous cross, and then it was cleared, and this is awesome. One of my big highlights. This is a small thing, but it was cleared on the ground. Austin, and there's an Austin player and Tim Parker converging. Parker must have sprinted 30 yards for this challenge and just slid in with an epic slide. And it fell to, I believe, AZ, who then crossed it back to Klaus on the back door. Couldn't get the finish there, and it ended up getting cleared for a corner kick. But a good sequence again. At least we're responding. I hated that we conceded again, like right after we scored and got it even. But the response, the mentality of the team, I really give flowers to last night.
Absolutely. And I think we did it. We stayed strong for a good chunk of that in the game, but I do think that we had a little bit of a low light here. And right just a minute later after that, it was a bad corner kick from Indy. Not a great delivery. Stuber collects it. Javelin throws it to O'Brien, who's absolutely streaking. And Tolton brings him down since he is beaten. It's a perfect time to take a yellow there. We've talked about that. There are times where we have to give up these free kicks. And unfortunately, that was just one that you had to do. And it's just a smart veteran play out of a young player, which I'd love to see out of someone on our right back, because it's one of those where you need to bring him down, but you can't make it like a red, dirty. Like, you just got to get to the yellow, and he just did what he needed to do, kind of jogged back, knew that he was coming and getting it, and cleaned it up and stopped what could have been another goal and would have been a nail in the coffin for us.
It would have been. In the 86th minute, we have a unique highlight here. Pull out those binoculars, folks. We have a rare endangered species sighting. Rasmus Alm was back on the pitch last night for City. It was great to see this man. Finally, I was debating whether he was alive for a while. He and Thorsten both entered the game, which was nice. 87th minute, we were dominating so much late on in this game. I literally feel like they told Celio, just stay on the left flank, and we are going to play you a pass for you to serve in an in-swinging cross for our guys in the back post. Or, if you want, which he also wanted to do quite a lot, beat your man one-on-one. And he did it like 2 or 3 times in the end of that game, just exposing that right back. Oh my God, I felt bad for him. That guy cannot show up to City Park. He will get made fun of. But just getting exposed, but we had so much danger. And I'm like, I'm watching it. I know obviously the result as I'm watching it, but why? If I'd have been watching it live, you could tell we're knocking on the door. We're knocking on the door. Is it going to come? Finally comes.
It was a complete flip side of how the game started with Austin. And when I felt like Austin was knocking the first 13 minutes, and then they finally put it away in the 14th, we were pushing so hard there at the end, and you could kind of feel it coming. Finally, 90th plus 3. Markinek goes long to Klaus, who somehow keeps it alive on the end line.
Yep.
Alm recycles it to Totland, who chips one back post. There wasn't really anyone there. I think he was trying to just put it into the mixer. Celio was a little bit further up, ends up dropping back to then one-time it. In between the defender's legs, nicks off of his knee into the ground, up over the other defender. It was a hell of a hit. I think we got a little lucky on how it got through all of that, but it's just an electric finish to an awesome game.
Yeah, boys escaped with a 2-2 draw there. Austin had to feel gutted. Not that they deserved a draw or even 3 points at all in this game, but I think they thought they were going to. Wasn't to be. Justin, before we get to player ratings and in our heart and soul of this team last night, I do want to say we talked about building our community and how much we love it. Hoffman Brothers, our presenting sponsor this year of 2024, also loves the community. I read this literally online recently. During the months of February, obviously now passed, and March, the month we are now in, they are donating a portion of all their sales directly back to Stray Rescue of St. Louis. That's cool. That's a really cool thing. I haven't heard of stuff like that before. I love pets. I have one of my own. I know your family has pets as well. Definitely a dog guy. Over here, we can have that debate at some point, but I love that. I mean, this is like, that's just doing something out of the good of your own heart, and that's the partner that we have in Hoffman Brothers. And obviously, they do so much more. Obviously, all your heating and cooling needs, everything with your HVAC, everything with your ductwork, all of that stuff underneath the roof, they're helping you out with. And look at that, they're helping out the community as well. So I just want to make a quick plug for Hoffman Brothers because that's some cool stuff.
And you said we could have that debate on here about the dog guy thing. I'm a dog guy. There's no debate
Short
between me
one.
and you. I don't know if we need to have like a listener debate or something, but if there's something, I know we're working with Hoffman Brothers. We're going to try to record an episode over there as well. If we can mix in some stray rescue puppies,
Ooh,
all-time episode.
love it.
I might move in there. Like I'm going to move into the pitch. And I am so upset that I was not able to go to the pitch this weekend since I was up in Philly, but I'm extremely excited to be back next weekend for the LA Galaxy game. You know I'll be at the pitch. This weather in St. Louis looked way better than it was in Philly. You open those doors of the pitch, you get some frozen Irish coffees flowing, some beers, some food, some of that crab rangoon dip, a lobster crab rangoon. I'm excited to be back.
Like
Get
it. I'm hoping
the pitch.
Absolutely. You can find us there next week for sure. And you can find City taking on the Galaxy with hopefully some of the same stats that we had against Austin. It was, again, one of those games where these are not our normal stat lines. We had the possession last night, 60-40. I want to go back and look, Justin, before I say it, but that's got to be one of our highest possession values of our entire existence as a franchise. So we can go back and validate that. We won the XG battle as well, 2. So I mean, we literally performed on par with what we were supposed to. 17 total shots, 8 on target compared to Austin's 2. We had 3 big chances to their 1. We had obviously a lot more passes, a lot more accurate passes. If you look at this stat sheet that we referenced for all this, literally everything but XG on set play, we dominated in. So it was just a comprehensive performance, which is why, the draw sucks, but I think you have a lot of good things to take away if you're Carnell.
The one thing I will say, Jake, is the XG on set play, the 0.96. That means on set pieces, the XG that they have. So that's what we're talking about. We need to get that cleaned up because I don't think Austin really had a ton of chances through run of play. I think it was all coming from set pieces. The only one that I can really think of is the one that was offsides that we talked about earlier with the chip into Zardes and then O'Brien just missing the net. But and sorry, if everybody sees me looking around a little bit, I'm going to do a quick plug. The EMLS Cup is on right now. We are in the semifinals. Nicholas Rosick, I think is how you pronounce his last name. Dude, every time I look up, unfortunately, he was up 1-0 when we started this podcast. Keep looking up. It's now 6-1. We are losing. So I think our EMLS Cup may be coming to an end here. He did win it last year, so big shout out to him. And getting back to the semifinals this year is awesome as well. It's down in Austin. He was at the game as well. So if anybody wants to see it kind of finish out here, it looks like the Revolution dude's up 5-0 on New York City FC. So it's going to be Miami guy, who we're losing to, versus the Revs guy. And Jake, to be completely honest, I don't know enough about this. I see like Holland scored a goal, so it's not like we're playing City versus Miami because it wouldn't really be fair to have. Yeah, so they have their own teams. I don't know how they decide that, but yeah, I think this one's over.
That's all right. But you know what wasn't over last night is some of these performances. I could have seen a lot more. I could have seen another game out of some of these guys because they were flying. And I want to start Berkey, 0 saves last night. He had nothing to do. I'm starting to see a little bit of a trend here, and I'm hoping that it's a positive one in that I don't think you can do anything about either of those 2 goals. That's not the trend. The trend is that we're starting to just kind of be a little more clean in front of him. And we haven't played the best teams to open up the campaign, but you got to start somewhere. And so I, for one, will say our back line, I would give it a comprehensive A to last night. Nilsson sneaky having another stellar performance. But I think the center backs, like our defense, it wasn't their fault on the set plays. We've got to do better defending as a unit, but our defense as a whole was great last night.
I think that's a lot of this, Jake, is speaking to, Marcanic stepping up. Having Nilsson just be a rock with Parker back there is huge in getting these stops and not allowing shots on Berkey. And also Tolan getting up and down the right side, I think has been incredible. The one thing I will say on Berkey, just looking at this on where we get our stats at FotMob, he was only 2 for 9 on accurate long balls. Yes, that's like taking into like goal kicks and stuff like that. But even usually for him, he's usually more like the 50% range. He usually picks people out. So I would say they gave him a 5.4 on here. I think that's harsh.
That's harsh. Yeah.
I'd give him just like a B. I think we still let in 2 goals. Yes, he probably couldn't do anything about either of them, but that one sticks out in my mind where he was kind of caught in no man's land. And I want him to kind of clean that up and maybe a little bit with the long balls as well. But moving into the midfield, I thought it was an overall great game. We didn't really have a whole lot of highlights or lowlights for Durkin, but I think we kind of talked about this last year. The person that plays that role next to Leuven, like a Blum, we don't need to be saying their name a lot. They're doing a lot of the dirty work. He's not the guy that's clipping in balls or beating guys one-on-one. He's winning tackles and redistributing to the guys that we can then talk about the highlights for. So I thought it was still a solid game out of Durkin and an incredible game out of Leuven.
Yeah, this was Leuven. If last week was the appetizer for Leuven with New York City, him kind of coming back into form for the season, this was it. This was the Leuven that I remember seeing most of the campaign last year, at least up until Leagues Cup, when he just looked like another level when he was out in the pitch. So I was very happy to see him return to that kind of form. Obviously, Celio Pompeo was great last night. He was so dangerous, especially in the game. Got his goal, saved us the point. That was phenomenal. So I'm going to give A. I mean, I even liked Indy. Indy worked his tail off last night. I do not see him coming out of the 11. I think he's a critical piece of this right now. But the forward line, let's talk about him. I'm talking about AZ Adeniran. AZ, I wasn't overly impressed with last night. I just don't know if I'm convinced right now yet this season of him playing centrally. I kind of want to give him some time out wide and not force him to have to possess and turn and be so physical in there, because I think right now the physicality is getting to him a little bit. And he's a smaller frame. There's some big dudes, center backs, central midfielders that you got to hold off in his position. And I'm not sure that we're there yet to a point where he can do that consistently. He's got moments and he can turn on a dime, but sometimes as well, I think he's trying to do too much. So I want him to simplify his game a little bit. Obviously, so much talent. I want to see a lot more out of him this season, and I'm expecting he will. But it wasn't his best game, and I'd say the same for Adeniran. This is not the game for Adeniran. When we're on the ball, that's not Adeniran's game. And it's never going to be. He is the guy on the direct threat when we need to relieve pressure and counter or do fast breaks. And there were some moments last night where he was involved. But when we're doing more possession style, that's a Klaus game to me.
Yeah, so the AZ one's tough for me because I think he's similarly to like Durkin. He's gonna be a guy that can facilitate, but I agree with you. Like when he's on the ball, he moves it quickly, but he needs to also just get it off his foot. Because right now I feel like the position that we're trying to ask him to play is not how he's kind of been playing his whole life. I think he is so skilled. He's like a Celio. He takes guys one-on-one and beats them, but we're asking him to be able to get the ball in tight spots when it's congested and then get it back out wide or slip people in. And he's one of the guys that he wants to take them on and beat them himself. And it's hard for him to do when he has his back to them. So I agree. I think we're still trying to find the best way to use him, but that's almost like a good problem to have. It's not a bad problem. It's not like we don't know who's going in there. Like AZ can do that role, or he needs to be on the field. We just need to figure out where we can use him more efficiently. But then again, like you said, you want to see him out wide, but I think Indy's playing incredible, cutting in off the right side, and Celio's doing just as good on the left. So it's a good problem to have right now with all of these guys. Unfortunately, I didn't see much out of Sam, like you said. I don't think we had a single highlight, didn't have a lot of touches. I think this could be a transition game, honestly, Jake. I was talking to my mom about it on the way home. I think Klaus could start next game. I think it's that time where it's like, I'm not upset with Sam, but it seems like Klaus is starting to get his mojo back a little bit. And I think he was almost like a shell shock for us at the beginning of the season where he didn't do anything when we started and Sam stepped up and was scoring goals. Now I didn't see much out of Sam. Like now can Klaus kind of take over? And that's a good thing. Let's take that and have them kind of battle against each other and just build each other up throughout the season. These are two guys that are still extremely close buddies. They're not going to be like fighting in the locker room or like pissed, like, oh, you're starting over me. This is going to be a good, healthy competition that we're going to see in practice, and it's only going to help us going forward.
100%. I think it's an open conversation now. We'll have it on Wednesday when we do the preview. So heart and soul of the team, sponsored by our friends here at Soul Juice. Justin, I'm sure you were sucking some Soul Juice down today after a long weekend in Philly. It is life-saving juice, man. I love it here. And we love Luis, and we love him being back here in St. Louis and expanding their borders here. I mean, they're making some serious inroads. So hopefully we have some big news to bring to you all here soon as he continues to do so. But pick yours up. Dierbergs, Schnucks. I know they have some Sam's. They have Straubs. They might be having some gas stations here pretty soon. So the reach, the accessibility, it's coming.
Oh, absolutely. I have chugged already 2 Soul Juices today, and I will continue to because I feel like I have cotton mouth right now. Trying to get through the end of this episode. But all that to say, go to souljuice.com, get it for 20% off using code BALLWATCHING, or you can get it in stores. You already mentioned all that. You can get it at Straubs, Dierberg, Schnucks, Sam's, Costco's. If you have a question on how to get it, DM us. I don't know. Yeah. You can pretty much find it anywhere you go get your groceries. So my heart and soul of the game, Jake, Celio Pompeo. We're going back to back. That man, I just feel like he was an absolute motor. I was a little upset with the early yellow. Great to see him come through with a goal there at the end. Yes, I know it was a little bit of a lucky goal, but he had 3 shots. All 3 were on target. That's 3 of our 8. And I just feel like with how dicey he could be and like dice people up, not dicey in a bad way, it's hard not to give it to him when we have this much energy and we're playing that well. So I think I know who yours is going to be, but I'm going with Celio.
I'm going with Leuven. It was so I love seeing him last night. it gave me so much nostalgia of how much of an impact player he was for us last year. He generated by himself with the PK included, so it's kind of skewed, but 1.45 expected goals plus expected assists, so total XG/XA. He had 2 shots on target, 4 chances created, 11 passes into the final third, and also recovered the ball 6 times when it was neutral. So I loved his performance. I was just as I'm a big Lubin fanboy. I think when he is kicking, we are kicking as a team. So I will need him as we go against the Galaxy next weekend. But quick review, Justin's of predictions, Grahammers. We both predicted W's. Obviously, did not happen for us. But you were in the green, predicting the second half over 1.5 goals total scored. With what was it, Justin? 3 goals? Yeah, 3 goals were scored in the second half. 2 of them being ours, which was great. I bet draw no bet, which didn't pan out, but I actually couldn't bet that line on my book, so I parlayed it with the over 2.5. So I actually made some money because that part of the leg actually pushed, which was okay for me. But Justin, we are going to LA next weekend. The Galaxy are not the Galaxy of last year. I just watched them come back and tie Nashville. These guys are a legit outfit. This is going to be our biggest test of the season so far. So I'm really excited to see what this team can go to LA and do, because they drew Miami, they just drew Nashville, and they beat San Jose. They look dangerous and up for it. So I'm really excited for next weekend.
I'm extremely excited. And then don't forget, Mr. Johnny Nelson is on the LA Galaxy as well. It's going to be a nice little connection for him. But yeah, the fact that they just came back and tied Nashville, I'm just looking at this as well. So Nashville scored in the 54th with a pen, in the 58th. But then you got Ricky Push, who came back in the 67th, and then Jolich in the 82nd for them. So that is a big time comeback for them at Nashville as well. So it's going to be a tough one. I know we're going to do a preview on Wednesday probably.
Yeah.
I will say it's going to be an awesome week, Jake. I'm excited to be home. Got a lot going on this week. But one last quick plug. Next weekend is St. Paddy's Day. Go to series6company.com. Sammy has a ton of gear out there, which I just realized I do not have a lot of St. Paddy's Day gear. Dogtown specifically, Budweiser, shirts all over, supporting local with these places. I know you can get something in Tam Ave, and that's probably where I'm going to be for the majority of Saturday and Sunday as well. So go to series6company.com. Use code BALLWATCHING for 15% off there as well.
All right. We got one more question, Justin, then we'll close it out here. Nolan had a great question in here. Do you guys want to see a Leuven, Blum, and Durkin partnership in the mid? I do want to see that at some point. And I could be convinced that, maybe Saturday is a time to try it. Blum's kind of coming off the cold, and I know he wasn't totally healthy either, so that could be something that throws it in. But we're going to need some midfield stability against the Galaxy. They run the midfield with Ricky Pooch. The guy is just lethal. With all of his vision and his passing, it's just so dangerous. So I like the idea, and I definitely think we'll see it at some point this season. Who knows if it's Saturday or not? I think Blum's health is a big piece to play there.
Yeah, that one's a tough one, Jake, because if I'm trying to think, all 3 of those guys I think are deserving of starting spots, but it's weird on how our lineup would work. I think you would have to go Blum and Durkin in front of the back 4. Oh my God, our dude just lost 9-3.
Yeah.
Sorry, EMLS. I just saw that. Thank you for shouting that out, JT. But back to it. I'm trying to get my ADD back on track. Going in, I think you'd have to do Blum and Durkin in front of the back 4 with like a Leuven in front of them, because he can get a little bit more forward offensively. And then I guess you'd have Indy and Celio out wide. And then so Leuven would be like underneath of Sam, kind of, I guess is how I'd look at it.
It could be cool. I'm down for it. Carnell shows us a lot of different formations, so I'm sure we'll see something like it at least at some point this season. But thank you all for listening to the show here. This is Ball Watching. Jake and Justin are signing off for the day. We'll be back with you all midweek to talk a little LA Galaxy as we go away to LA for a nice away day. So looking forward to it. Everyone take care, and thanks for listening. All for City.
All for City.